Hey y'all, it's Katie. Welcome back to From My Vanity. Today I'm super excited to be filming this because I am starting a new series on my YouTube channel that will go along with a series I am already doing on my blog. Now if you're thinking that my eye look looks a little different, looks a little funky today, you're right. We'll get into all that in a minute. Let me just kind of back up here and explain what this new series is going to be about. So if you weren't aware, I do a dupe or dead type of post on my blog where I compare two products, list all the similarities, all the differences, give you all the information, and then I give you a verdict at the end of if I think they are a dupe or not. And I've been doing that for quite a while now, and I want to start doing that on my YouTube channel, but I didn't want it to be the same type of information, so I'm going to do something a little bit different, a little bit more fun. I will still be doing those posts on my blog, but I'm going to mesh the two, mesh my YouTube and my blog together and do one post around these dupe or dead products. So if you want to hear all in detail, all the similarities, all the differences, see all the up-close swatches of both palettes, you can go to my blog, but on my YouTube channel, I want to use both of those products live on camera and let you guys decide if you think they are dupes or not. So for today's dupe or dead, you be the judge. We are battling out these two palettes right here, the Bad Habit Retro Love palette, and seeing if it is a dupe for the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette. When I saw that they had a dupe for it, I was very curious because this palette got such a bad rap for being so difficult to work with, so I was curious to see if there was a easier alternative because I honestly love the shade selection in here and just the tones in here. They really speak to me. There isn't a palette like it on the market, and I love the colors, so for me it's no big deal to put up with being, you know, treating it a little bit differently than most of my palettes, but I do understand that not everyone wants to go through that, and this is an expensive palette, so I was very curious to see if the Retro Love would be an easier palette to work with and still give me the same looks that I get with this palette. So that I was really excited to get this palette to try it out. So this was the first one that I wanted to dupe it out. But anyway, getting back on track for this dupe or dead, you be the judge. I am going to do an eye look, which I've already done today, and we're going to go step by step. I'm going to show you how I created this look. That way you guys will be able to see each of the shadows blended on each eye and see the differences. And at the end, you be the judge and you let me know if you think these are a dupe or not. I am not going to be sharing my opinion in these videos. If you do want to hear my personal opinion of whether I think it's a dupe or not, like at the end, kind of like my wrap-up summary, you can check out my blog post because I will have my own opinion in there. And here we're just going to be all about, let's all share our thoughts. What do you think? Some people will probably think this is totally a dupe. Some people probably won't. So I hope that makes sense and it's not too different or weird. If you have any kind of constructive criticism you'd like to give me for this new series that I'm starting, I'm all ears. Let me know down in the comments and I can continue to improve as I do more of these dupe or deads. You be the judge. Oh, I almost forgot. I did want to say that if you can guess which palette I have on which eye, leave it in the comments down below before we get into the tutorial and just to see if you guys guess correctly. So with all that said, let's just dive right into these two palettes and get on with this dupe or dead, you be the judge video. So before we dive in the tutorial, I do want to give you guys a little bit of information just in case for some odd reason you don't know what the Bad Habit is or you've barely heard anything about the subculture. So just to give you guys a little bit of information. If you do want more details about all the differences and all the similarities these two palettes have, like I said, I will have my blog post linked down below and you can go there and I kind of break it down and get a lot more in-depth and detailed about each of the similarities, each of the differences, and I will also have picture swatches, just finger swatches, on my blog if you would like to see those. Alright, so we have Subculture down here, and then we have the Bad Habit Retro Love palette up here. They have identical shades. The shades that are included in the palettes are the same for both of them, but the Bad Habit does switch up the order of the way the shades are laid out. One definite difference between these two palettes is that they aren't as powdery. They don't kick up as much powder as the Subculture palette. Now I'm going to be sticking in close up here showing you of how the Subculture looks when I tap into it twice, as opposed to how this looks when I tap into it twice. I did notice this giving some fallout throughout the day, and it is a little powdery. Not as intense as the Subculture, most definitely, but it does have a little powder kick up when you put your brush into there. But one thing I did notice is it was more of kind of a powder that just puffed away, like wasn't super pigmented, whereas the Subculture, if you don't tap off your brush and just go into your eye look, you're gonna get a lot of fallout, and that fallout is like pigmented fallout, so you definitely have to clean up after it. But at this time, let's go ahead and jump right into the tutorial where we are going to be using both of these on my eyes. I think I forgot to hit record, but all I did was prime my eyes with this Smashbox lid primer because it has a little bit of color to kind of cancel out any discoloration, and then I set it with, you can use any translucent powder, but I set it with the Wet n Wild contouring palette. I'm going to be doing the Retro Love on my right eye and then the Subculture on my left eye. Alright, so I'm going to start by putting a little bit of green in the crease, and I'm going to be using these brushes. Let's see, this is the Morphe G24 brush. I'll use it for my Subculture side, and then kind of the equivalent of that is this Moda Pro brush, their crease brush, BMX 430 brush. They're pretty much kind of the same thing. Same size, same kind of tapered edges to it. So I'm just going to be going into Destiny right here, putting that in my crease. Alright, so I like how that looks. Now I'm going to go into the equivalent of that in the Retro Love palette, which is Hippie, right here, and put that in the crease on the other side. That's all I get with one dip. I'm going to go back in, knock it off, and try to build it up on the outer corner. And they look nothing alike, so I'm going back in one more time, kind of piling a lot more on the brush. My daughter's singing to her baby. But the Retro Love palette is powdery, but not like that pigmented powdery that the Subculture is. It does take more work to build up, for me at least. Okay, that's almost the same. I'm trying to keep these as similar as I can. So there we go. I feel like that's pretty darn. I think that's as good as we're going to get for now. Let's move on to the yellows. All right, I want to go in with new edge here, right here, this really bright kind of mustard yellow shade. And for this part, I'm going to be using the Sigma E55 brush on this side, and then a Coastal Scents BRCN02 brush. They're basically the same kind of flat shader brush. So I'm just going to pick up some of that, knock it off, and then I'm going to lay it down, and this is going to be on my lid. Just like that much. And I'm patting, and then as I get to the outer edges, I kind of blend just a touch. And get one more dip into the pan, knock it off. Then going into Rebel in the Retro Love and stamping that on. Can we see a difference already? I am stamping the same as I did with the Subculture palette, but I just feel like it is so, like, where did it go? I'm going back into Rebel. I'm going to go back in for a third time. And I just feel like it's kind of, as I press more, it's a little bit patchy in the center, almost like there's not enough color there now, even though that's where I'm focusing the most. I'm trying to build it up. This is as good as it gets, so let's just move on. Now I'm going to be taking the Sonia Kashuk number 28 brush. I have two of them, so that'll be nice and easy, one for each eye. And I'm going to go into New Wave, right here. And I'm just going to press that onto the outer edge and kind of blend it in. Going back in, I tapped it once into the pan and then tapped it once off. So like that, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Going into the Retro Love, I'm taking Fab, which is right here, right here. And trying to pack it on. Can you even see a difference? Mommy! Oh, come here, honey, I'll help you put that on. All right, my daughter had a midlife crisis. I'm going back into Retro Love and still trying to pack it on. I feel like you can kind of tell Like there's a hint of a different color. All right, now I want to take Untamed in the Subculture palette, which is more of a green, and we're going to use that in the crease as well. I'm going to be using these two brushes, the Morphe M330 brush and then the Smashbox Shadow Blending Brush. They're the same kind of just a very small type of blending brush, and I'll use Smashbox on for the Subculture side. And I'm just going to put it right into the crease and try to make that a more noticeable green, basically. And I'm barely touching with my brush right now, just barely touching down that color. Like that. And then I'm going to wipe off the rest of it because that's enough color for me. And just use the same brush to blend it out a bit. Like that. Alright, now going in with Mod in the Retro Love. Go back in. And I feel like as I blend out this crease shade, it's making the yellow disappear that I put down on the lid. Can y'all see that? Okay, so we're gonna go back into that yellow, Fab and Rebel. We'll go in with Rebel first and just pack it back onto the lid. And then now Fab. All right, there's that. So let's go ahead and do the lower lash line, and then I'll go off camera and finish up my face and my eyes. But I'm just gonna put a little black in my waterline. And then I'm going to take these little brushes, which this is a Real Techniques accent brush and Smashbox Precise Smudger. Basically the same kind of tiny little smudger brush, and we are going into use the Smashbox on the Subculture side, and we're gonna go into Axis. Right there. And I'm going to be doing a wing, so that'll look better. Going into Free Love from the Retro Love with the Real Techniques side. Alright, now going in with the Sigma Pencil E30 and then the Crown brush. These little pencil brushes, basically, I'll use a Sigma on the Subculture side. I want to go in with a tiny bit of, what should we use? We'll go with Mercury, this gray, just to use another shade to just soften out the Axis shade. Going in with, what did I say? Pop. Right here. Alright, very last up, I'm taking the e.l.f. concealer brush, which is just this really tiny thing. I have two of them. This is what I like to use for my accent shades, and for this, I want to go with, I usually do either Cube or Electric, but let's go with Electric. Electric is just a really fun shade, so I'm going to go in with that right there. Just pick up a little, I really don't feel like I have to tap it out. I think I've mentioned before that I didn't really get the Subculture for the shimmers. I got it mainly for those matte shades. So the shimmers, these aren't my favorite, but they work for like this inner corner highlight. And then we're gonna go into Icon from the Retro Lab right here. And this I have to be a lot more careful because I don't know if you can see, let me show you. Bad Habit shimmers are like this, but you press just a tiny bit and just see how much is on there. So if I go in with that on my lid, it just falls and flakes everywhere and makes a mess. So I did that, tap that off pretty hard, and now I'm going to press that in. Alright, so there we have it. I feel like you can really tell the difference between the eye looks. I'm going to zoom in a little closer and put the brightness down just so you can hopefully see the colors a bit more. Alright, so this is the Subculture side, and this is the Retro Love side. So here's what they look like. Alright, so I'm going to finish my face makeup and finish my eyes, do my wing, put on my mascara, do my brows, and then I'll come back to do another close-up just so you guys can see. But I wanted to show you up close before I completed it all, just so, you know, the wing liner and all that didn't cover anything. So I hope that was helpful, but I will be right back. Alright, I am back. I chose Kat Von D's Ludwig for my lipstick. and I feel like it turned way more purplish on my lips than it does in the tube, and I don't know why. I feel like a lot of nudes do that to me, but oh wow, that's what I'm wearing today. But anyway, this is my completed look a couple hours later, just because after I finished filming, my little man woke up, had to feed him, had to do lunch, and I'm just now sitting back down. But here's what the eyes look like, and I will get up in close, but I just want to show you kind of far away right now. So here's one more up close look. Get Subculture. We have Retro Love. Which do you think you would prefer? So yeah, this is the completed look. This is the look we created. I am only planning to do one look for these duper duds, you be the judge type of videos. If you think it'd be more helpful for me to do at least two eye looks, just so I can use more colors so you guys can make a more informed decision, definitely let me know in the comments, and I can definitely do that for future videos. I'm just not wanting to make this too long and lengthy. But yeah, definitely looking for your guys' feedback on this series. I would love to hear what you think about it. That basically wraps up this video. I am just going to be waiting to hear your guys' thoughts on if you guys think this Retro Love is a dupe for the Subculture palette. Please leave me a comment down below which you think won this kind of duper dud off post, and then also let me know if you own either of them, or if you plan to own either of them, or if you want to own either of them. I'd be very curious to hear, and especially if this video helped you make a decision. That would just make my day as well if you let me know that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this new duper dud you be the judge video. I'm super excited to be starting this series, and I'm sure as I do more of these, I'll kind of flesh out and figure out a better system to do for these, both on my blog and YouTube, just to make sure they both mesh and just go together very well. But as I said, I am looking for feedback. I would love to hear what you guys think down in the comments. And yeah, with all that said, I think that about wraps up this video. I can't wait to be talking with you guys in the comment section and just hearing what you guys think about this. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye guys.